Welcome to Badly Written Boy, a reciting of my teenage years and my 20s, now as a 40-something. How do I remember all these things? I wrote it all down in a diary. Badly. Enduring with me on this retrospective, cringeworthy experience is my wife, who has never read my diaries.
Hello.
Hello there.
Welcome.
Fancy seeing you here.
Fancy seeing you.
You keep coming back.
Under duress. I am married to you. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. 16 years ago.
Best date of my life. And you've just been on the downhill ever since.
I know.
For 16 years.
Peaked too soon.
You did peak very soon. Because first date was good with a good kiss. Second date was terrible. Well, second date was good, but the kiss was awful.
Yes.
I mean, this is all spoiler alert, really.
I know, don't give anything away.
I keep forgetting that we're literally talking about your life, so we can't talk about it.
It's what at least 3 people tune in to hear about.
I know, thanks Sinead. You've only got about 3 years to go until we get to the bit where you may be mentioned in the diary and you may become famous in your own right.
I can't remember what month we're even up to.
You are the one that's supposed to be in control of this.
Fortunately, I put a bookmark in.
Past you is super smart. He remembered that future you is a dumbass and needed to prepare.
It's August. We're not nearly through the year.
What year are we in?
2005.
2005.
Yep.
Okay.
Some way to go.
Please say it in the Big Brother house accent.
Year 1 in the Big Brother house.
What's the date?
August, Monday the 1st.
2004.
2005.
I keep saying 2004. Okay. Are we just getting into it?
Well, do you want to start?
Yeah, I never start. Special for our anniversary. How exciting. You know, have to treat me well, Jackson.
16 years.
That is a long time.
It is.
Are you ready to call it quits?
Yeah, shall we?
I mean, we've not really achieved much.
Well, we've had a good run. We've covered a couple of continents.
Yeah.
And
we've made some children.
Well, you made some children.
You contributed.
I contributed something.
Beginning ingredients. And I then grew them from nothing.
Yes. And now that we've covered that, you've no longer any reason to listen.
Again, spoiler alert. I don't think you wrote them for that long, did you? Okay, let's do this because I am on a time crunch today. Because I'm very popular.
Well, this is obviously the most important thing of your day.
Other people to podcast with.
Yeah, well, multiple podcasts. Ditching me again.
And I'm going away for business tomorrow. I'm flying to Singapore.
Yeah, but, this is your number one podcast.
This is my number one podcast. But can you please tell people about the preparations that I've made in order to leave you alone with the children for a week?
Is it really that exciting?
It is. I feel like, you know how we were talking about my contributions to the relationship?
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of them.
You made a list?
It's good to know that you appreciate my list. Because I could not make the list.
You're a list maker.
Do you not want me to make the list?
No, I think the list is handy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just handy.
As opposed to unhandy.
I'm just going to get into it before I get annoyed.
Oh, also something similar.
Yeah.
From our first date. When we first met, you started perspiring.
Why are you talking about the sweat?
And
again, spoiler alert.
I see some light perspiration.
It's warm and I've got carpet for hair. What am I supposed to do? I'm going to Singapore. It's going to be really humid and really hot. And this carpet hair is not going to fare well.
I'm going to Singapore.
I don't even want to go. It's fun.
It's
not like...
Some people don't even get to leave their own country.
Oh, okay. All right. First world problems. Anyway... I went to town this afternoon, but I didn't fancy going by myself, so I got Michelle to go too. I had a satchel, spelled satchel, full of eBay stuff to send away. Once I was rid of that, I was back at Game Station again. Having picked up a few more cheap items, I began searching for Napoleon Dynamite on DVD, but I just couldn't find it. Gosh. Then on the bus on the way home, I saw Donnie. He was a few seats ahead of me, but I didn't say hello. Another awkward person to have spoken to. What would I have said to him? So, you seen Boydie or Danny recently? Donnie and Danny got engaged. Boydie intervened. Donnie smacked Boydie in the street. That's dramatic.
That's not all.
Oh. I was up for a night out.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So I haven't written anything else there.
No.
I don't know if I'll include this in the podcast, but Donnie used to go out with a girl called Danny.
Right.
And they got engaged. I went to their engagement party.
Yeah.
This was in Cramlington. And then Donnie's best mate, Boydie, fell madly in love with his wife-to-be. And
you guys must be like 21 at this stage as well.
And they are now married with 2 kids.
Oh, no way! Oh, my God. You have to include that. That's great.
Yeah, I still know him. I still know Boydie. He's a nice guy.
Poor Boydie. I mean, obviously...
Poor Donnie, you mean?
Oh, who got left? Donnie. Well, surely Donnie's like better off now.
I don't know. I don't know Donnie anymore.
Okay. Well, as long as Boydie's happy if he's your friend, that's what matters. I was up for a night out and several other lads were. We all met at Jamie's for a bevy, then headed into town again. Truth is, I went a bit crazy tonight. I had just been paid and completely disregarded the word budget. That sounds so familiar.
Hang on. I've just been on a holiday. I don't have any money left.
You just got paid, Mark. So instead of paying off your debts, like you should do, you're in Game Station buying DVDs and other things.
Cool.
And now you're out on town spending all your freaking money.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even remember the last time I got this smash. The only person more drunk than me was Elsden. He was babbling shite to no end. We ended up in Blue Bamboo after having been to Old Orleans Revolution and the Mushroom Bar.
Blue Bamboo.
After a taxi back to Jamie's once again, we all sat and watched TV until about 3, and then I staggered home, which seemed like a huge journey. I was less than thrilled by the fact I had to work tomorrow. Or today, depending on how you look at it. I was pretty sure I was still minging from last night as I struggled to Mills. I was delighted, though, by Paul's non-existence, which will be the case for a few weeks now that I've been assured he is on holiday. At least I was only in for 4 hours, but ideally it might have been a bit later on in the day. As soon as I'd finished, I was no sooner in the door than on my way to Manor Walks. Mum needed to return a DVD to Blockbuster and then go to Asda. I bought Napoleon Dynamite, after just complaining about having no money. At last, ex-rental from Blockbuster, and also the special edition of Fight Club.
Awesome. Awesome films.
You don't have any money to buy these films.
But I still own them now. So much value.
Ben wasn't working at the time, but a colleague of his who doesn't really like me was. He was this Asian guy and he seemed to take forever to get my DVDs sorted. I was surprised to find Sonia working in-game, but I didn't go into the shop. That prompted me to text Paul to see how he's doing. He says he's just completed a lifeguard course for the pool, presumably. I reckon I could do that. Back home, I started scouring the net once again for landscape positions. Look at you!
Yeah, industrious.
I'm envious of Martin Earle's recent coup of a job at North Tyneside Council in the planning division. A council job might be the way forward.
Wow.
Might it?
Wow.
Might it? It might not be the most interesting job, but they sometimes pay you for your master's degree and you get other benefits like decent wages. I bet you get a darn sight more than £4 frickin' 90 an hour.
Is that all I was on?
That's for sure. Babe, when I sacked my first job, I was on £3.30. And that's probably the same year that you started your first job.
I can beat that. When we used to deliver, the first ever newspapers that I delivered were the ones that got delivered to your house. And per newspaper, it was like 0.5 of a pence or something. Or 0.2, something ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's not beating me because it's not equivalent. It's not an hourly wage.
I know, but I'm sure if I added it all up, it would equal not much at all.
Today was a bit of a mixed bag. I had no intention of sitting around playing computer games, though. Instead, I made it my aim to clear up the garage enough to make space for the active use of my gym.
Turning the corner. Look at this. Applying for jobs,
I'm pretty
working
sure
out.
you're going to ask your mum to pay you for clearing out the...
Oh, I thought you said ask my mum to pay me to work out.
Everything was filthy and was not helped by the fact a tap had recently been left dribbling. Mum! Causing a stream of water to trickle through it all. Midway in my cleanup operation, Leanne rang and asked me if I could work at Mills for a few hours whilst the delivery was being unpacked. I completed the garage when I got home and was quite impressed with the diversity of exercises possible on what is actually a very simple bench. I'm such a twat.
I'm just describing what I can do. Leave me
The
alone.
diversity of exercises possible. I was so impressed, I was bragging about it to Lank, Humble and Graham when they arrived. We all went to Newcastle to watch the second leg against Deportivo. I hadn't been to St James's Park since the Rangers game at the beginning of last season. We all got in for a fiver each because they don't check your age at the turnstiles. A juvenile ticket entitles under 14 to cheaper entry.
I'm just loving the fact that I got into a game blagging as a 14-year-old.
When you were in your 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle handed me a letter that had come through the door. HLM Architects. We have no position for you at this time.
A letter?
Jeez, what a downer. They were one of my last hopes for a Sheffield-based work placement. I think I was right to tell Matt Fordy that I may not be returning to Sheffield in the immediate future. I spoke to him yesterday. What's the point in moving back to Sheffield without guaranteed work experience? I'd probably end up humping a job as crap as the one I'm in now. Then what? I may as well go where the real jobs are. Lank and Graham came by to pick me up this afternoon. We went up to North Tyneside Athletics Club to do some track running. They had anticipated a nice, quiet atmosphere, but there was a massive youth football festival on. We didn't really watch much of it. We were too preoccupied with running. I was running. I did 3 laps, then 4 later. 4 is a mile, apparently. Then I did 100-metre sprints with Lank and Graham. They had runners on with spikes coming out the bottom and other running gear, but they seemed to warm up a whole lot and stretch for no particular reason. Even though I was tired when I got home, it was specifically my legs, so I did upper body workout in the gym, in the garage. Despite making some spare space for its use, it wasn't as accommodating as I'd liked it to have been. I'm aching from yesterday, especially my triceps. If I get some sort of routine going, I think it'll become a lot easier. This morning, I printed out an application for the Shores Garden Centre. I thought if I'm not going to get any career breaks in the short term, I may as well get a better local job. I'll still send that out anyway, but just as things weren't looking so bright, late this evening I found a solitary email. It was from a landscape firm called John Patey Associates, just north of Wakefield. A guy called Lee Brown would like to meet me sometime next week for an informal interview. He says they specialise in residential design mainly, which I'd be willing to deal with. My only quip was how would I get there? The train to Wakefield would be easy enough, but where from there? It's times like this I wish I had a car. I was at work for an hour longer this evening than last night, yet I still managed to get through it more easily. I was constantly occupied, though I never used the till, oddly. There was again a police presence at times. We get several little shites running amok. They need anti-bastard inhibitors of some kind.
Anti-bastard inhibitors. My 12 to 5 shift today went by with the thought in mind that I won't have to do this job for much longer. If John Paley Associates give me a job, it'll be a step in the right direction. When I got home, Michelle told me Mum was going to look at some kittens tomorrow. It'll do her good to have something positive to think about. She's too pissed off with the state of the house, her job and her financial position to appreciate anything uplifting in her life. Things can't just be consistently crap forever for her. I can't help feel Granny and Grandpa are as much of a burden as they are the key. That's interesting. I hadn't been to the market for ages, so I got Mum to take me there. Now who's the burden? Oh my God, all these other people just make my mum do things for them all the time. You don't clean, don't cook, want lifts everywhere, want money all the time.
Ma'am,
exactly.
give me a lift, ma'am.
The directions I gave served well from my memory, and it wasn't long before we were rummaging through other people's rubbish. It wasn't quite like that, to be honest. I was only looking for Mega Drive games and didn't find one until the end. I got Kick-Off 3 from some skank in a 3-wheeler for 50p.
What a headline.
Then on the way home, I went to Game Station and got another ISS and Batman and Robin. Mum and Michelle, meanwhile, had gone to South Shields to look at potential new cats. Mum didn't really know why she had thought to go there for a cat. She said she was prompted by a dream to read the Chronicle to look for a new cat. There was only one ad, so South Shields it was. It was an actual pet rescue centre. They came home with a 6-week-old kitten. He could probably sit in your hand, not that he would for long. He's a black-brown tinged feline with white socks and a white lower lip. Who could that be? I didn't see too much of him, but there was a great debate over his name before I went to work at 2. Initially, Michelle had come up with Maximus and Lucius, but Philip's suggestion of Guinness is my favourite. Work was no big deal and I finished at 8. I was finally ready to go to use the gym again, but not before a good jog. I question the point in jogging on a regular basis if I'm going to be doing weights as well. Is the combination of weight training and cardio work counterproductive? I want to lose weight and refine my muscles. You've done such a good job. If only 21-year-old could see you now.
I know, right?
Adonis.
I rang the landscape office this morning to sort out an appropriate interview time. I spoke to Lee Brown and we decided at 2 p.m. on Wednesday would be best. He reinforced it would be an informal interview and John Paley will also be present. The great debate over...
John Paley of John Paley Architects. How exciting.
The great debate over a name for the cat was finally resolved. He shall be named Sullivan.
Sully
for short. And known as Sully.
I can't believe we've got to the point where Sully arrived and he's only just died like in the past few months.
I know. It derived from the hairy Sully off Monsters, Inc. and the fact that the small child in the movie calls him Kitty. We all headed down to Granny and Grandpa's to say hello. Granny was happy to talk about my interview on Wednesday, and Grandpa, well, according to Mum, he smelt of sherry and he's clearly got a secret stash. I remember the time I peeked him having a sly swig in the carpentry room. I jumped back out before he could see me, then knocked on the door so he could give him a chance to conceal his deed, all because he was having a drink. Michelle and I were up playing on the snooker table before we headed over to the Silver Link to see Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The remake stars Johnny Depp. There's just not been another Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, hasn't there? So the remake stars Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka and Tim Burton directs. I'd identified examples of my work with use of AutoCAD as I'm lacking in my portfolio. Despite installing AutoCAD on Mum's laptop, I didn't bother trying to do any work with it, which might strengthen my portfolio. Instead, I thought about the types of projects Lee Bowen had mentioned the company doing, which pieces of my own work might be relevant for their viewing tomorrow. Smart. I'm actually still more concerned about how I'm going to get there in Wakefield. At least I have a map I can show the taxi driver. It's pre-GPS.
Remember how we used to I would have post-it notes with each direction, and then I would take off that post-it note so that I could see what the next direction was when I was driving.
I think at this stage, you might have been able to just go to Google, because Google was about...
You could use Google. You could get step-by-step directions.
Yeah.
But it's too hard to read that while you're driving because it's on an A4 sheet. So I would write each one onto a post-it note so I could just see what the next direction was and then pull it off when I'd done it.
Oh my God, what did we do before the internet had stuff like this?
It was awful.
Mum pointed out to me that they must have seen some promise in my CV and examples of my work, which I emailed them. They wouldn't have invited me down in the first place if it wasn't the case. I mailed off the last, most recent eBay items to be sold. Then this evening, I made 2 big coups in winning bids for Probotector and Shining Force 2. I paid decent...
More games.
I've still got them. I paid decent money for them, but I've seen them both go for more. Just yesterday, I saw a rare copy of Duke Nukem 3D go for about 58 quid. That's about twice as much as Streets of Rage 3 ever goes for on eBay. For much of today, I played with Sully. He constantly gets himself in danger, crawling into tight spaces, like the washing machine or under the sofa. He's so tiny, he wouldn't have a hope in hell if I sat on top of him.
I had my first interview with landscape architect in England today. Yes, the day finally came. Mum gave me a lift down to the city early this morning, which was helpful. Shame everything else she did today was a big pain in the arse, but I won't dwell on that. So mean. I got the 9:40 to Wakefield. It was interesting being back on trains, having not really used them for so long. I was nervous when I got there, yet there were still 2 hours to burn between my arrival and the interview. I explored the city centre, which basically comprised of the crappiest parts of Sheffield city centre. The high street was boring, their shopping centre was almost as crap as Manor Walks, but they did have a game station and 2 cash converter stores. So you know what I picked up a few of? You are I mean, I know you've got a lot of stuff.
No, but this was the summer of trading where I did actually come out with a couple of £100. It wasn't like I wasn't making any money off it at all. Like, it wasn't a full-time job. And yes, I did keep some of those games.
A lot.
But it was
just accumulation of crap over years.
It's not. I was passionate about them. And it was at a time where they were end of shelf life. So they were just getting rid of them on the cheap. And you just don't get that now. Mm-hmm. They all go for silly money now.
I got a taxi over to the JRP offices at the Paragon Business Village. It's a very new development, but I was glad to have got a taxi rather than walked. It was a fair hike from theirs to theirs from the city. After a short wait, I was greeted by Lee Brown and John Haley. They led me to the conference room and began showing me some of their projects and a bit about the company. They mainly do residential developments for housing companies like Barrett's. They then proceeded to show my work, but it was evident they were looking for more examples of CAD work. For that reason only, I'm sceptical whether they would give me the job. Other than that, it seemed to go well. I was well and truly trashed by the time I got home. Their mum had a crazy rant at me over nothing at all. I would love to know what the rant was about. I bet it wasn't about nothing at all.
Probably about like 10 bags of games or something.
Probably. Or you cleared the garage out by like putting all of her stuff outside and just left it.
Yeah, I don't know.
My short-term career prospects were sent hurtling to the ground in a flaming wreck today. JRP Associates sent me a letter of rejection. That was really quick.
That came overnight.
Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Thanks for nothing. I anticipated going out tonight. Failure of that plan combined with the job rejection has left me floating around, helpless like a stranded astronaut in space. You are so dramatic. I'd received the rejection before some people even wished me luck for the interview.
Surely they emailed it. You can't get...
Yeah, they've emailed it. They
emailed it?
Yeah, they must have done.
Right.
Because otherwise... They
Yeah,
would have had to write it as you were leaving.
yeah.
And he's gone. Okay, no. We're gonna say
No.
Ewan, for example, following his failure to obtain any work experience, he has all but given up on his landscape dream. Then later this evening, Mac40 rang and said he'd be up in Sheffield shortly looking for houses with or without me. So now what do I do? Where can I go from here? I'm on the verge of changing my mind and going back to Sheffield in a sense that I would return there providing I could get full-time work, not specifically landscape related. I remember calling Matt Wilson a while back. He mentioned he had a job at the Sheffield City Council, so I rang him to see how he came across that. It was through a temp agency. Temporary work placements. The reasons to move are beginning to mount. Mum is doing my fucking head in. She pisses me off. We piss each other off. I hate my job. I hate my manager. My social life consists of the occasional game of football or a night out. Haha! I have no mates in the immediate vicinity, and the ones in Cramlington will be here for the rest of their lives. I guess a change will be for the best. You never know. I may pick up a landscape job somewhere down the line.
You know, the sad thing is, that's like such a good social life. I play football.
Oh, absolutely.
I play football every other day.
Absolutely.
I go out every week. I've just been to Turkey.
Yeah.
I'm like, just got no grasp of reality.
No, of course not.
I've skipped the mopping. Mopping? I think it's meant to be moping, but it's mopping.
Mopping.
I've skipped the mopping around, part of failing to get the landscape job, and I've instead chosen to look for another means of full-time employment in Sheffield. I saw that there's some jobs going in the City Hall, but I was more keen on the lifeguard position at U-Sport. I downloaded the application form and filled it out. The only bit I lack is the lifeguard certificate.
The only qualification.
Listen to this.
I could be a lawyer. I just lack a law degree.
Listen to this. I could pick that up easily. I know Paul has done a lifeguard course recently, so I called him to see if it was the same thing. He reckons it varies from county to county, but I'll wait and see if I can get a reply from U-Sport. I spent most of the afternoon on the net job hunting. I was hurried in getting to work, such as my dedication to finding alternative employment. Steph was back from her holiday. She'd been to Cornwall and was slightly tanned. Somewhere in the conversation, it came out that she was only earning £3.65 an hour to work in Mills. I can barely muster the enthusiasm to turn up for work at Mills for $4.90. After Steph left, it was just myself and Ash, although Cockhead came in earlier on. He'd come back from his holiday. He was pissed off because his car hadn't been repaired and he had to hire a car to go to the lakes instead. My heart bleeds for you, Paul. Matt 40 rang today as I was about to begin work. He was in Sheffield looking for houses to rent. I think I'll have to trust his judgment when it comes to house selection. I can't exactly go down there myself. He was telling me about a house along from the Broomhill Friary. It sounded good, but he's seeing more tomorrow, and I think he still thinks I'm uncertain as to whether I'm going down to Sheffield at all. Work sent me into a vegetative. Spelled that one wrong. My finale in today's 10 until 3 was sticking individual price reduction stickers on about 35 Kit Kats, which were out of date. Challenging stuff, I know. I have to go to work at 5:40 a.m. tomorrow. Boo. That didn't stop me from staying up to watch the first day of the season on Match of the Day. Sunderland were crap. Did I mention I set up a dream team in the Telegraph fantasy football? Oh my god, this is old school. So pre-internet football, fantasy football management. You had to cut stuff out. If you wanted to make a transfer, you had to cut bits of the newspaper out and send it in. Proper nerdy stuff.
Getting up early for the 6 to 12 shift at Mills was truly a pain in the arse. What's more, I had to spend it with Suzanne. Inside 80 IQ Suzanne. Amoeba on a field trip to Mills Suzanne. Let's all count to 10 Suzanne. It was so mean. I told Leanne I was officially handed in my notice because I'm pretty sure I'm going to go back to Sheffield. I think it's for the right reasons. I need to be further south to increase my chances of getting landscape work. But in the meantime, I'd settle for less. It's a cliche, but sometimes you have to take a step back before you can take your steps forward.
No, that's definitely taking 5 steps back and no steps forward because I haven't organised any work.
No.
Already?
No, and you can't rely.
It's a stupid thing to do as well, I'm going to leave.
I mean, pretty much for the past few years, you haven't paid rent anywhere, but you've lived in many houses. Just relying on the goodwill of other people, which is what it sounds like you're
I haven't paid rent to live anywhere yet.
You will have paid it at uni, I guess.
Yeah,
Unless
but even then I wasn't paying for that.
No. You just had a complete free ride.
It's been pretty cushy.
All you can do is complain about people.
It's been pretty cushy.
But you've got no idea. I got a call off Matt 40 when I got home. He was on his way home having seen some more houses. His favourite had just come onto the market and was up in Crooks. It's cheap enough and the landlady is nice apparently. Anyway, he gave me the money for her, so I might ring tomorrow. Mum stresses I should make sure I have a job sorted before I go down. Your mum is right.
Wisdom.
Mum stresses. I have several options I can look into. Co-op, temp agencies, the internet.
So I'm considering going back to co-op.
Yeah.
Where I used to work.
I just got to keep at it for a while. It's no big deal. And provided I don't spend money on shit I don't need, it should all go well.
When does that ever not happen?
You are so naive. I watched some more of England wellying the Aussies in the Ashes before going to play footy at Shank House. Lank and Humble had come down to join Ian and his crowd of footballing cripples in a kickabout. In the Metro Centre, I found Game Station.
What happened next?
It was a hotbed of cheap Mega Drive games. I picked up a dozen or so games.
Wow.
The majority of which I plan to flog. The best coupe was... What is a coupe? You've said that a few times.
Like a stealthy good deal.
Oh. The best coupe was Mega Turrican.
Mega Turrican.
Mega Turrican. There are currently no other copies of it on eBay. Well, you can sell it for $1 million then. Essentially, we went to the Metro Centre to see The Island at the UCI. It was this cool film about clones and how they are kept in existence unknowingly as the organ insurance policy of the rich and famous beings they are in reality.
That was a good film.
What initially was a clever storyline turned out to be an overpaced, wasted opportunity. Apparently it didn't, Mark.
Don't have the same appreciation for it that I do now.
It was like the first half of the movie was as it was intended, but then it was set upon by some idiot with brash, over-the-top special effects. The concept for the film was more dazzling than any car chase or gunfight that they cared to add. Throughout the film, I packed away excessive quantities of both popcorn and candy. When I got back to Granny's, I was faced with a takeaway. I started to feel regret.
Candy. It's a bit of an Americanism, isn't it? Candy.
Then painful bloating after pie and chips. So, you still ate it, obviously.
No more. August the 16th. It was humid today. The sun came out again for one final glimpse before autumn. I didn't go outside much though. I've begun to play Shining Force 2.
Shining Force.
Shining Force. Now that it has arrived. I had to work tonight 5 to 11. Paul was in, aka Cockhead. Some money has gone and I'm not happy about it, he said. I've been working my arse off today, so I don't want to see any of you standing around tonight. Paul left after an hour that saw the entrance of Mel the Slapper, who proceeded to work elsewhere. with Ash for the majority of the evening. That left me on the till by myself, which kept me on my toes. I got a new top for tonight. I went to town to meet Phil and watch some of the England-Denmark game. The game was terrible, and we got flogged 4-1. David James, the goalkeeper, was woeful. Phil's doing fine. He tells me he's going out with some 18-year-old lass. Classic Phil. He hates commitment by the sounds of it, although he's been going out with her for 8 months. I also saw Chris Wiper in the Keel Row. He's as big as ever. Then I met up with porn star Dave, Hawley, John and Craig. It was Hawley's 22nd and we were trying to get him wasted. I felt sorry for Dave, the only cool guy out of the lot of them. I met them sitting around a table in the union rooms, looking about as lively as a funeral proceeding. So I injected a bit of humour, and by the time we were in Vodka Revs, things were on the up. Hawley had knocked back 3 racks of 6 shots. Holy shit. And began to go pretty crazy. We made an ill-advised visit to Baja on the other side.
How is he not dead?
I know. Jesus. We made an ill-advised visit to Baja on the other side of the river before making our way to Munchies up at the cathedral. We ran up for some reason.
Losers.
That is like from the river all the way up to the cathedral.
That guy is surely talented by now.
Yeah, stuff you do when you're drunk, eh?
I didn't do anything constructive today. I just read about retro games and played on retro games. I sifted through some old Rista's landscape magazine supplements, just junky updates of people in landscape architecture who are making more headway than I am. I'm disgruntled by the fact this included several of my former classmates on the landscape course. I'm envious of their progress, wrong there, obviously.
Oh, man, that never went away.
No, in the career department, but pretty sure I've had just as interesting time doing other things. What have you done?
Selling Mega Drive games.
Exactly.
Actually, no, Australia, that was an interesting detour.
Yes, but you didn't do anything.
No, but I was there. And they don't know I wasn't doing anything.
You didn't do anything.
Unless I listen to the podcast now, which I'm sure they won't.
Absolutely not. If I can't get into landscape, there's other things I'm interested in. I was just talking to Phil about script writing. Comedies, maybe.
Script writing.
Writing.
Am I coming up with more random professions that I think I'm just going to be able to land?
Yes, absolutely.
Was there anything else on that list? So there's script writer.
Script writing, comedies, maybe.
Script writing of comedies. So no experience doing that?
No.
I haven't got a lifeguard certificate.
No.
We should just make a tally this month and see how many bullshit careers I can come up with.
Yeah, planning. I went for a jog this evening and then came home to watch basketball. I was interrupted between the two activities by Mum's Australian friend Meryl, who was trying to organise a meeting time and place for a get-together in Edinburgh, which I don't give a shit about.
At least I'm honest.
No, you're not honest. You're an arsehole. It's what you are.
An honest arsehole.
The most exciting thing that happened to me today was getting a new pair of shoes. More specifically, new shoes for Kate and Carlos's wedding. Not for them, for me. I'm not trying to start a weird new trend. Many congratulations. I'd like to bid you luck in marriage by presenting you with footwear. No, the least exciting thing that happened to me was a few hours into my 10 to 12 at Mills. I was just standing there gawking at dust particles. That all changed when Steph came into the shop briefly. I'd never seen her with non-Mills clothes on. The ass-hugging jeans and cleavage outlining pink top did wonders for her image. That is like such a 2000s outfit as well. Like I can 100% see that outfit. I recommend to Paul that uniform should be ditched in Steph's case so I can see her in that jeans and that pink top on a more regular basis.
So I'm saying I should say that to Paul?
That is... You say, I recommend to Paul. So I don't know if you actually said it to him.
No, that's like a horrible offence.
Creepy as fuck.
What, say that? They should change the uniform.
If you say that to Paul so that you can ogle at somebody in something that you find attractive, it's creepy, misogynistic, generally disgusting.
Yeah, like I'm in my 20s and it's 2005.
Not an excuse. That's disgusting. Probotector arrived today.
Still got it?
Of course you do. You don't throw anything away. It's such a hard game. I invested little time into it. I'm too busy playing Shining Force.
Shining Force.
I'm thinking I may try a few online chat rooms. So random.
What is that to meet people or
I've
just
got no idea. Dave Pornstar Martin told me that's where he met his girlfriend.
He sowed the seed. She's
a bisexual nymphomaniac.
Wow.
She's not. He's just...
This sounds like a J off in betweeners thing.
Exactly. She's 100% not a bisexual nymphomaniac. He's just saying that. If he's met her in a chat room...
Hey, they're out there. They're out there somewhere.
Not looking for you guys.
We're none the wiser.
Call me a geek, but I think in some ways there's more integrity in meeting someone online rather than in a club. I think it's a case of which is the bigger cliche.
Today I went to my first wedding of somebody I genuinely knew.
I thought you were going to say liked then. No, that's too much emotion for Mark. Just someone that I genuinely knew.
Knew, N-E-W. It was that of Kate Tweddle. She was marrying a Spaniard called Carlos. Mum, Michelle and I drove out into the Northumbrian countryside to the hill setting of Derwent Manor. On the other side of the valley, you could see a spectacular bridge with very tall arches. I forget its name, but it leads to Consett. There were a lot of people in the ceremony, quite a few more Spanish people than I expected, but several more of Kate's contingent. Mark and Helen, Kate's siblings, stood at the front, next to Carlos, a chunky, jolly-looking guy with a neat beard. Kate finally arrived, white as a sheet, almost as white as her sleek dress and scarf draped round her back. Apparently she had gone faint before her entry into the hall. Still, she made it in and got through the vows. It didn't seem like a long ceremony. That meant there was more time for partying. A formal lunch banquet was held after a glaring photo session outside under the unmerciful blinding rays of the sun. The English weather had a Spanish hat on. During the meal, Alan, Kate's dad, gave a speech, but it was Kate's emotional speech which struck a chord with everyone, I think. She gave specific credit to Alan for doing two people's jobs, in which she credited him with doing a mother's job too. Her mother had died of cancer during her days babysitting us. I met Carlos during the evening. He's a very nice man. A fantastic day was rounded off with a ceilidh, a disco, and excessive consumption of alcohol. Poor mum drove. I was a bit groggy from the wonderful night before, but I knew I had to get up. I needed to see which hours I was doing at Mills. Those turned out to be between 2 and 6, during which I had to tolerate Paul. I was in no rush to get there, of course, having already been closer to work than normal. I'd organised for a drink with Dave at the Brockwell. He had his new car with him, a Fiesta, to shoot to and fro from his planning job at Wansbeck Council. I'm envious of the car and the job. Maybe I'd be able to get nearer buying a car if I got paid properly. Steph was starting her shift at 6. I really need an occasion away from Mills with Steph. Somewhere where I don't have Paul or Ash or Shieldsy. He's in the shop that often. Breathing down my neck. Checking out my eggs. That's a weird way of putting it.
Today was just a pain in the arse, really.
Standard.
Oh, not surprised. I'd hoped maybe my PayPal money had gone through to my account, but it hadn't. I needed money to post some games away, and I had to resort to raiding my piggy bank like some greedy little kid.
I've still got a piggy bank.
Still. I had to sort out my transport for tomorrow's trip to Sheffield. I'm using Megabus to get there. Where I hope to, I'm sure it costs you £1, where I hope to inspect a fantastic house with a view to renting it. I rang the landlady and will meet her tomorrow. I've also organised to meet Matt Wilson for lunch. I'm also looking to meet up with David Anderson from the temp agency in a bid to find some work. For much of today, however, I was playing Shining Force while lying on my bed. I got up very early this morning, as did Mum reluctantly. I can't say I would have been thrilled at the prospect of getting up at 6 for someone else. The fact was, I needed a lift to Newcastle. It's not like you.
For what?
So you can catch the Megabus.
Oh, yeah. Megabus.
It was leaving from a stop by Central Station. Quite what makes it mega remains unclear to me. Sure, the ticket prices are low, but is mega the word to use here? The journey was pleasant, particularly early on. I wasn't sure if it was Gateshead or the clouds obscuring the rising sun, but it was definitely rising. There wasn't many people on the bus, but one guy off to my right did something which made me nervous. When he sat down, he scanned the underside of his seat with one hand. I hope he was just discarding some gum, but it crossed my mind that he could be planting something, a package, a bomb. I kept an eye on him. I was far more relaxed when I got to Meadowhall in Sheffield. I took a tram to the city and a bus up to the Crux to look at the new house. The landlady, Liz, is really nice. She showed me around 33 Truswell Road, a nice garden, a well-equipped kitchen, decent lounge. Has everything it needs. The place has a basement too, so I could put my gym down there. I signed the contract with confidence. You did not sign a contract without a job. What are you doing?
No idea. Another adventure.
I cannot believe.
This is classic me, though.
This is insane.
It's not insane. This is what I do.
You're going to have your mother paying your rent, aren't you?
Probably. Unless I get a job.
It's even the way you've said it. I signed the contract with confidence. Confident.
Where'd that come from?
You've got no money. It's not like you've got like 3 months rent saved, because I absolutely know you do not.
Oh, I've got nothing.
And I mean, what? It can only be like, what, £400 a month maybe? £300 a month?
I don't know.
To live in like a house share, it can't be that much.
Nah, it wouldn't be that much.
I briefly met one of the housemate and a departing current tenant, a Chilean studying politics. I strolled down to the city centre again to meet Matt Wilson. He is the same. We had lunch in the Graduate. He's been working a data entry job and he's still with Nikki. I picked up a few games from the local traders and then made my way back to Mega Hall to catch my Mega Bus. I can't believe you signed a contract on a house. I can't believe she let you sign a contract on a house. I signed the contract with confidence.
Did the signature with confidence. I don't think deep down there's much confidence at all.
No, but I think there was. I think you just have no... You just think in the moment. You're not thinking ahead of time at all.
I think I was the most organised I've ever been in preparation of going to a shift at
Lies.
Mills.
There is no way you're organised.
It's just a shift at Mills. Don't get too excited. I even had time to make my own lunch, which doesn't happen often. I'm glad I got it.
Don't tell me you were getting your mother to make your lunch for Mills.
No, I think I made it.
No, you did today, but you said that this was the first time you've made it for yourself.
I'll just be buying stuff from the shop.
Okay.
I'm glad I got a decent sleep in too, because work required a lot of physical effort. And mentally too. I needed to be level-headed in maintaining my tolerance of the cockhead. We had this big shitting delivery of booze, and it was bloody heavy. I was always occupied. Time flew by. It was only when I got hungry I started to get grumpy. I didn't have a break until 2:10. I started at 10 in the morning. Around 2, I asked Cockhead if I could have a break. When the next employee arrived, he said, I'll sort it out. Another employee arriving is the ideal situation to give me a break. So just say, yes, you sweaty, fatty fuck. There is this other dude working in the shop right now. I don't know why he's here or what his name is. He follows Paul around like a little bitch. He isn't little, actually. He's a big gawky bastard. Ugly too. Like brother and sister fucked, and he's the result.
Oh my God.
When I got home, I played some more Shining Force.
Shining Force.
Then I got Mum to take me up to Blockbuster. I rented Garden State. Mum rented Sahara, some mindless action movie. Garden State was pretty groovy, a drama love story. It had the guy off Scrubs, but in a slightly less rosy role. Natalie Portman was way better in this than her other films I've seen her in. Actually, that only consists of Star Wars films, but they were average, and she stank.
Charming.
Today showed signs of things to come in some respects. I went to the dentist this afternoon. The dentist, Alan Bettis, who has been our dentist since I immigrated to this country, told me I would eventually have to have my wisdom teeth removed. Ha! You're wrong, Alan. I've still got them.
Nice. Spoiler alert.
Apparently, there isn't enough space in my mouth for them. In the earlier hours of today, I walked up to Manor Walks. What do you reckon I'm going up there for?
Could it be Mega Drive games?
I had some games to send away. There we go. That done, I was only up there a short while, but saw Wally and Elsden on separate occasions. They could be brothers. You'd think they look so similar. They're not, though. Elsden looked particularly rough in that his apparent rebellion against shaving has caused him to look like a Wookiee.
Somehow, despite the fact I do not possess a lifeguard certificate, I have managed to blag myself an interview at U-Sport.
Oh, yeah.
You said that you could do it.
Confidence.
They've invited me for an interview next Friday. Between now and then, I will get my mum to teach me CPR.
So I can blag that in the interview.
I think you'd need an actual certificate, which I think I will have to demonstrate when I'm there. I bet your mum will be really pissed off about that. I was real chuffed from that and didn't really care that I had to go to work. Paul was not as much as of a cockhead today. Maybe he had other things on his mind. Anything over 500 calories, I imagine. I don't remember much about work other than cleaning glass doors. They were nice and shiny. Actually, at one point I was sat on a hunt for £1 coins. The Brockwell seam had none. The refurbished chip shop had none. Actually, I didn't even ask there. I just stood and chatted to Seb, who happened to be queuing for a veggie burger. Eventually I got some pounds at Summerfield. Paul seemed to have moulded the rota nicely, allowing me time off my interview next Friday, and an early enough finish to see Newcastle get stuffed by Man U on Sunday. I've become less and less enthusiastic about visiting Granny and Gramps over the past few months. The prospect of getting bitched at by Granny is the main reason for that. There were no such problems today, though, and Grandpa was more chatty than normal. It was good to have a talk between the two of us after lunch, when Granny, Mum and Michelle had retired to the lounge. We were discussing bicycles and how he had once ridden from Banff to Edinburgh to see Granny. That's cute.
It's a long way.
I've heard this story before, but these are always forgotten details. He used a bike because he had no other way of getting down. His bike got lodged in second gear of 3 on the second day of riding. God, it was more than one day.
Yeah.
Grandpa dare not try and change out of second in case the whole thing busted. Granny's father paid for the replacement gear mechanism so it could get home, and he had to ride home. I walked to the city centre from Fenham after lunch. It was longer than I remembered, but I was only a little late in meeting Paul at the monument. He's grown his hair out and it's all shaggy and curly. I told him about the lifeguard interview next Friday and he reckons I need the certificate for legal reasons. Yes. Yes, you do. Oh well. He'd been to the gig the previous day. The band he saw comprised of several of the lads from my year at high school. One of those was Craig Murrell. Paul said that he is the drummer, having damaged the tendons in his arm as a former guitarist and pianist. I was interested, but more so was the fact he'd previously gone out with a ginger bird called Claire Carney, with a little asterisk, and the asterisk says, for the record, Claire Carney was in myself and Paul's class at high school.
Oh, yeah.
Just don't mention her name, gym classes, or erections in the same sentence anywhere near me. What is that?
Oh, I've got a classic story for you.
Go on.
So you know how I was a good swimmer?
Yeah.
At high school, we went for the occasional class swim at the baths. Our teacher was the PE teacher as well. She knew I was a good swimmer, so she said, "Oh, could you demonstrate some backstroke?"
Yeah.
So I dived in and immediately went out into backstroke. But you know, with with shorts, like the air doesn't escape straight away.
Yeah.
So all the bubbles went whoop, whoop, whoop. And I mean, it just looked ridiculous. It made me look like I had a massive stonking hard on. And I don't know, for some reason they pinned it on Claire Carney.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
Brilliant.
I've got 2 weeks left at Mills now.
Woohoo!
That doesn't amount to many hours of work, but that doesn't bother me. I even turned down some extra hours today. I was working 12
Fuck you,
till,
Paul.
I was working 12 to 4, and this other guy was helping Paul, who was ironically also called Paul, wondered if I'd do 6 till 10 as well.
How is that
Nope.
ironic?
No way.
How is that ironic? It's not ironic.
It's a coincidence.
Alanis Morissette
A very
gave us
minor coincidence.
exactly a very popular name.
Yes. Yeah.
Alanis Morissette taught us what ironic is.
I know. I had plans to watch the Newcastle game and I finished at 4. I'd organised to meet Seb in the Seam. It was really crowded, but we took refuge in the bar. The game itself was okay. Given our recent form and our opponents, Man U, we lost 2-0 and goals stemmed from defensive errors as opposed to attacking superiority. Rooney and Nistelrooy and Ronaldo looked blunt, to be honest, and it was unfair for us to have got anything. Still no goals this season. Seb tried briefly to entice me to go to the Blackpool-Bradford game tomorrow. His mate Brendan supports the Bantams. I said, no. What's the point? You know that the bank holiday Monday traffic will suck ass.
And you need to save money to pay your rent.
Yes. I tried persuading Michael to come out tonight. Lank and Co were already out, but I couldn't be asked going in by myself. It's a bit silly. Couldn't be asked going by myself. I hadn't anticipated having much fun today. I debated on what to do, but Lank's text recommending the beach put that beyond doubt. We drove down to Graham and Jamie's, and then sped down to Whitley Bay for some of Bank Holiday Monday sun. The tide may have been in, but that didn't stop us from playing beach football and sketch. Is that one with the tennis ball? Yeah, tennis ball and the Velcro hand thing. So you just lob it to each other and it just catches it straight on there.
Does that actually have a name?
Yeah, Scatch, apparently. The Arctic monkeys. The Arctic water temperature didn't prevent us from running around in the water. Martin and Graham even went in for a very British paddle. After the sandbar athletics, which included mockery of long jump and triple jump, we all made for the fields above to dry off. We scattered down to the shops for some chips. We ate in the sun amongst the locals, the pregnant teenagers, the beggars, and the British. Not content with those deep-fried delights, our next stop was Seton Delville for some top-class ice cream at Crescent Ices. Provoked perhaps by a certain Ashes Test victory, we then found ourselves back at Hairside with a bat and a ball. Humble joined us for a group game on his way back from his shift at Yorkshire Trader. Full-man cricket is always going to lose its appeal and enthusiasm at some point. The day was still not spent, though. After dinner, Lank, Graham and Jamie were once again around, so we could all go and see the new Dukes of Hazzard film at the Silverlink. It was all rednecks, cars, violence and women in that order. Mindless fun starring Jessica Simpson, Ooh La La, Johnny Knoxville, William Scott, the Stiffmeister, and Smokey and the Bandit legend Burt Reynolds.
I went shopping this afternoon. I was looking for clothes, yet I came back with DVDs and computer games.
Wow. Oh, just tell me more.
I was so shocked. I bought Goodfellas SE and some other cheap Kevin Spacey film called Swimming with Sharks. I'd gone to town with Jamie because he had his car, but Humble and Lank also came. It was really vibrant in the town centre. News had recently emerged of Owen's willingness to sign for Newcastle, which surprised us all. Is that Michael Owen?
Yeah.
To be honest, I thought he was going to Liverpool, but I was mistaken. Today was pretty crap from the point of view of myself with regards to my Mills shift today. It was too long. They kept me an extra 2 hours. Paul kicked off at one point as well, just so he could see Owen being presented to the Toon Army. Paul's the manager, for Christ's sakes. There was only me and Leanne left in store. And that's it.
Wow.
We finished August.
Tight month.
I am excited to see, because I didn't even realise that you moved back to Sheffield.
No.
So I am interested to see how long that's going to last, considering you've got no money.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, I mean, this is clearly where you continue to rack up debt to your mother, because there is zero chance that you are going to make enough and save enough to be able to pay not only your rent, but also your bills and buy yourself food, as well as going out and, you know, living the crap social life that you live in.
I know. I'm so deprived.
Very much so.
I reckon that is the most proactive month since I left uni.
Which is really embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, happy anniversary. It's been nice spending time with you.
It has been, yeah. Love you.
Yes. I love you too.
Good.
Shut up. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Badly Written Boy. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like and subscribe button.